There is one person here I'd like to recognise as well today before we get started. That's Ken Martz is back. Where are you, Ken? As you know, Ken was the head of this organisation for many years. I think, did you just turn 93, Ken, or was it 92? 93. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. But you have many more. So our speaker today has a very long and interesting history, so you'll have to bear with me while I go through his bio, where I'm very happy to welcome Major Sean Merlin here today. He's the Executive Officer of the Headquarters Battalion at 29 Palms. He was born in Hastings, Nebraska, and grew up in Newbury Park, California. He attended the University of California at Davis, and he received his Bachelor of Science degree in Physiology in 1988, and began a career in sales. In 1997, he decided to have a career change, so at the age of 32, if you can believe this, 32, he joined the Marines. Upon completion of boot camp, Major Merlin attended the Marine combat training at Camp Pendleton. He then was assigned to Air Traffic Control School at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. After completion of Air Traffic Control School in October of 1998, Major Merlin was assigned to the Traffic Control Headquarters Service Battalion, Marine Corps Air Station at Beaufort, South Carolina. He served as enlisted radar and air traffic controller, and during his service he applied for and was accepted at the Officer Candidate School via the Enlisted Commissioning Program, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1999, August the 18th. Major Merlin was then assigned to Headquarters Service Battalion Marine Corps Station at Iwakuni in Japan from March of 2000 to January of 2001, during which time he served as the Air Traffic Control Watch Commander. In January of 2001, Major Merlin was assigned to the Marine Air Control Detachment 18 for duty with Marine Medium Helicopter Squadron 265, reinforced in the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. During his assignment, Major Merlin served as the Marine Mobile Air Traffic Control Team Leader in support of the Aviation Combat Element, 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, during exercise Tandem Thrust in Australia and humanitarian services operating in East Timor. In March of 2002, Major Merlin was transferred to Air Traffic Control Detachment 29 Palms, where he served as Detachment Commander. During his tour, he attended a Weapons Tact Instructor course at Marine Aviation Weapons Tact Squadron in Yuma. He graduated as a Weapons Tactics Instructor and returned to 29 Palms. In February of 2004, he was assigned to the Marine Air Control Squadron 1 and deployed to Al-Assad, Iraq, where he served as Marine Mobile Air Traffic Control Team Leader in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Major Merlin returned from Iraq in June of 2004 and was assigned to Marine Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Squadron 1 to serve as the Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Mission Commander, during which time he served 2 combat tours in the Al-Anbar province of Iraq. Upon completion of a successful tour on recruiting in San Diego, he then went on and was transferred to the 1st Marine Air Wing in Okinawa, Japan, where he served as the Wing Airspace Control Officer from July 2009 for a year. During this assignment, he participated in exercises in both the Philippines and South Korea. By July of 2010, Major Merlin was back at 29 Palms at the Marine Unmanned Aerial Vehicles Squadron 3. During this time, he completed a combat tour to Operations Enduring Freedom in Helmand Province in Afghanistan and held the billet of Squadron of Operations Officer. In May of 2012, he reported to the Tactical Training and Exercise Control Group, the TTECG. During this time, he held the billet of Marine Aviation Command and Control Systems Representative. In addition, Major Merlin assumed the duties of the TTECG Aviation Current Operations Officer. Almost through. He began his current assignment as Executive Officer, Headquarters Battalion at 29 Palms on 29th September last year. Major Mellon personal decorations include the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, second award, and the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, second award. He has a good sense to marry a local girl, Christina Cook, of Rancho Mirage. He has 2 beautiful children, and they live in Cathedral City. So I'm very happy, I'm very proud to introduce you, Major Mellon. Come on up to the stage.
All right, thank you. Let me get my mic set up here. Shouldn't take very long. Can you hear me in the back? All right, just go like this if you need to have me talk louder. But I think we're working on the front here. When I walked in and I saw how big the room was, I thought I was going to have to emulate my drill instructor, and talk very loud. But I've been told that I just need to talk in a calm voice, and I should be okay. So I'm just going to pretend that you're in my office and that you just been charged with. Just been charged with a punishable offense under the USMC. Because in my current position as executive officer, I usually have to assign officers to do investigations, and also to talk with trial counsel to make sure that the commanding officer's wishes are carried out, either court-martial or non-judicial punishment. But I just want to let you know that yesterday afternoon I gave this same presentation to my daughter's second grade class. And at the end of the 15 minutes, so it was only 15 minutes because they had to get on their buses to go home, but they gave me a standing ovation. and they thought it was really cool. So, but all kidding aside, I had to Barney style, break it down shotgun style for him, and I didn't give them the same presentation. So I didn't think they would be interested in global force projection and things like that. So. But a couple of them kind of did roll their eyes. I think they were their fathers were in the Army, or their mothers was in the Navy or something like that. They weren't very impressed by a Marine. But when I met, or I didn't meet Patrick, but I was voluntold by my CO to, or highly encouraged, as we said, to give be the guest speaker for the Indian Wells Veterans Day ceremony, and so I gave that speaking. I did that speaking engagement, and at the end of it, I was thankful it was over. But then, I get a call out of the blue, or contacted by Patrick, and I was like, oh my, now another request to do a speaking engagement. One of the things they teach you at boot camp, and that. Once you get on you swear in, you get on the yellow footprints. For those that you know, that you no longer can say no in your vocabulary. Okay, so that's why I'm here today. I'm not. I haven't been one of those that always gets up there and volunteers to speak in front of large audiences. But I am. It gives me great pleasure to be in front of. Ladies and gentlemen of the caliber of all of you, even those that have not served, but especially for those that have served. One of the things you learn in the Marine Corps is from boot camp through your career as an officer is that the Marine Corps is very in touch with their history and where they came from. And looking out in this room, you are the living history that I've learned about. Okay, and it's a great honor to be up in front of you today. And I know some of you thank me for my service, but it's because of you people that I'm serving today. I just want to point that out to you. All right, but and then Patrick, when he said, well, you know, we got these old pilots, and I thought, well, I'm not a pilot. I'm a real Marine officer. I don't wear wings on my utilities. You know? In fact, I tell junior Marines when I have to. It's like, you know why the pilots wear the gold wings? And they tell me, well, just because they look shiny and they look pretty. I said, no, it's so that the privates and PSVs can tell the difference between pilots and Marine officers. But having worked in aviation command and control, I have a high respect and regard for all the pilots. We have a lot of training that goes on out in 29 Palms, and most people think that military training is it's the safe part about being a Marine, that the dangerous part is deploying. But we do have, as you are all aware, that most of the rules and regulations for air traffic control were because some incident occurred. And that's why we have to have the pilots acknowledge hold short runway 27, because somebody didn't hold short. And during training, most recently, a helicopter crashed short of the runway out in 29 Palms, and 2 pilots were passed away. So, I have a high respect for aviators. The only problem with some of the aviators is they spend so much time in flight training that they don't, when they finally get out to the fleet, they are kind of a second lieutenant, even with captain's bars, as far as it comes to some of the other duties of a Marine officer. So, but when Patrick asked me, hey, what do you think you could speak about? I told him, well, I'm currently in a command and staff seminar in the evenings as part of my requirement to pick up the next grade. And I thought it would be maybe appropriate to see that I would tell you about a concept that the Marine Corps, a capstone concept the Marine Corps is adopting to take itself and take itself into the 21st century and meet the challenges that face us now as a Corps with the exodus from Iraq and now the Marine Corps is completely out of Afghanistan. So, whereas everybody's back at 29 Palms now, we have a small drawdown in the forest. So what are we going to do? What is our plan for achieving the challenges, and what the commandant and the generals and his staff over in Quantico would come up with? I thought I'd spend a little time today discussing that with you. So, don't look down. You got it? All right. I'll try to keep my head up, because I guess every time I look down, or is it metal? It's probably metal. Okay. So the way I'm going to go about this today is I'm going to, before we get into the way ahead, I'm going to, can you still hear me in the back? Okay. I'm going to go over what and explain to you what the mission of the Marine Corps is, okay? And then how we're organized based upon that mission, and then where we will proceed and how we'll take that organization and distribute it for the challenges ahead. So. Just make sure this is working. Okay. I think we're up. All right. The United States Code Title 10, okay, for the Armed Forces states that the Marine Corps shall be organized in no less than 3 combat divisions, 3 aircraft wings, and other organic land component for land combat forces aviation services. Okay, the way the Marine Corps is organized, we have a division in Pendleton, We have the division in Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and we have a division headquarters in Okinawa, Japan. 3 divisions, okay? We also have 3 air wings, okay, associated or paired up with those divisions. Then we have 3 logistics combat elements, the MLGs, the Marine Logistics Groups, that are paired up to provide the combat logistics support for the division. And then Title 10 also says that we'll be organized, trained, and equipped to provide fleet marine forces of combined arms together with supporting air components. Okay? One of the things that is unique about the Marine Corps is the only reason we have planes in the Marine Corps is to support the ground combat element, the ground pounders we call them, in the Marine Corps. Our aviation assets are not normally ever outsourced to support the Army or to support the Navy or to support anything that the Air Force is involved with. We strictly task all of our aviation assets to be in support of Marine units. Okay? We have aerial reconnaissance missions sometimes, and aerial reconnaissance and tanker assets are sometimes apportioned out if we have excess sorties to the Army and the Air Force. Okay? Now, there's a DoD directive. You see that DoD directive up there. The Marine Corps, within the Department of the Navy, develops concepts, doctrine, and tactics, techniques, and procedures, and is organized, trained, and equipped to provide forces normally employed as a combined arms air-ground task force, okay, to serve as an expeditionary force. And I'll explain in the next slide what it means by air-ground task force, okay, and those sizes of MAGTFs. Okay. So the DoD directive says that we'll seize and defend advanced naval bases, will provide close air support for ground forces, that will conduct complex expeditionary operations. Any Iwo Jima vets here? No? Okay. Incheon landing vets? No? All right. Because they're all pilots, right? Nobody walks ashore in Incheon here. Some of you may have flown over it, right? Flown operations in Korea. So we'll also conduct amphibious operations, and we'll also provide forces for crisis management or crisis response and power projection. And then we'll also conduct security and stability operations and provide security detachments and units. Everyone's very familiar probably that we have Marine detachments that we are directed by the DoD directive to provide to embassy duty. Okay? So we organize these air-ground task force in this manner. Okay? The Marine Expeditionary Force, okay, that's our primary warfighting organization, and it's led by a 3-star general. Okay? If there's a requirement for a smaller force, then we would send a MEF forward. Okay? That's usually just a lead echelon of a MEF or a standalone. If the requirement is for a 2-star general control force, then we call it a MEF forward. Okay? The MEB, the Marine Expeditionary Brigade, those are the building blocks for forcible entry and other power projection. We've employed MEBs before in response to conflict in Lebanon, and then we also provided 2 MEBs for Operation Desert Shield. MEBs, with a 1-star general in charge, is also able to provide command and control of joint task force. So Air Force or Army or Navy elements can fall under that 2-star or 1-star general. And then Marine Expeditionary Units, which has been the primary 911 force, and there's a Marine Expeditionary Unit 31 that's in Okinawa that's constantly operational. There's 3 Marine Expeditionary Units at Camp Pendleton, the 11th, the 13th, and the 15th. And then on the East Coast, out of Lejeune, there's 3 MUs over there also. But that Marine Expeditionary Unit We'll go out on the Gator Navy. Who's been in the Gator Navy? All right. Anybody flown off aircraft carriers? Couple? Okay. So the largest deck for a Marine Expeditionary Unit is an LHA or an LHD. Our Harrier aircraft, short takeoff, vertical landing, are attached to the ship. Cobra attack helicopters, and now it used to be the CH-46, now it's the MV-22 Osprey. Okay. When underneath the deck is usually a hangar deck and a well deck, and usually the LCACs, the air cushion vehicles with tanks, are also on that ship. It's about 800 feet long, and I think I had to run 8 laps on it to get a mile or something like that. So very interesting and a good experience to be aboard ship, especially when you make port calls in Australia. I was talking to Patrick earlier about he's from Sydney, so the Marine Expeditionary Units usually go into the smaller ports because there's 3 ship views. The big deck aircraft carriers usually go into Sydney and Perth. Okay? But it's pretty impressive to be on a naval vessel that's larger than any naval vessel that the country you're going to visit has. You know, so and then I guess there's something about the big ships, the firepower and the handsome Marines and sailors in uniform. You never have to have trouble looking for a friend or a host, right? Yeah, so the music, those are the 911 forces. Forward naval presence, security cooperation, military engagement, and deterrence, and respond to crisis. Okay, since this is a force of about 2,500 Marines that are constantly, is on board ship. We have them in the South China Sea, down in the Philippines. Half the time the 31st MEU is on shore, but able to deploy rapidly. The East Coast Marine Expeditionary Units go through the Mediterranean and then over to either in the East Mediterranean or transit down through the Red Sea and go into the Indian Ocean. The Pendleton Marine Expeditionary Units will go make their first stop in Hawaii, spend some money over there, drink a couple Mai Tais, and then they'll go across the sea to make another port visit in Australia, spend some money, eat some steaks, drink a lot of good beer, and then make the women in Australia appreciate the U.S. military a little bit more. And then they'll go south in India, and then they'll go in the Middle East, up to Egypt and around the Indian Ocean. Okay, so that's there. And I have a good picture to describe that. And that force is usually the ones that, let's see, when an embassy needs to be evacuated, you call the Marines because they'll be there within a couple days and they'll evacuate an embassy. When I was at Okinawa, right after 9/11, we got on a boat and we were supposed to go down and evacuate the embassy in Indonesia because the Indonesian government didn't want to do anything about the protesters in front of the embassy. So instead of going to Guam to do workups, we went down through the leading edge of the typhoon. I stayed in my rack for about 16 hours because I get seasick if the sea stakes are above 7, right? And then by the time we got down there, the Indonesian government had finally decided to get strong arm with the protesters, clear the protesters down. And so we did a follow-on mission in East Timor to provide humanitarian assistance because as part of that theater security cooperation, we also provide humanitarian assistance and engagement to, because if we don't do it, then the Chinese or the Russians will do it, right? Okay, so we go down to East Timor and assist the Australians with the security in East Timor, and also the Navy goes in and does dental work and medical work. Sailors and Marines get off the ship and build schools or, engineering projects. So, and then we get back on the ship and we go down to Darwin and we have a good time in Australia, and then we go back to East Timor. And the Marine Expeditionary Units on the East Coast, those are the ones that usually have a tough time finding an open spot for a volunteer because everybody wants to do those. you go to Rota, Spain, and then you're over there in the thick of it, either on standby and also in Israel to assist anything in Israel, do some training in Israel. And then there's a lot of instability in the Balkans. Let's see, during the Kosovo campaign, it was I believe the 24th MU that flew operations in support of that. So and then there's always something going on in Africa that the East Coast MUs have to respond to, either flying folks in to flying doctors in for Ebola treatment, or even home things close to home. The expeditionary units out of North Carolina, one of them went down and provided assistance in Haiti after the earthquake. So that's usually the classic 911 force. Okay, and then there's also special purpose MAGTFs that are smaller than the Marine Expeditionary Unit. This graphic here will show you size. So the MEF has about 40,000, 80,000 Marines. It has a division, an aircraft wing, and a logistics group. It's more tailored to for conventional warfare, major conflicts. Marine Expeditionary Forces were the MEF, 2 MEF and 1 MEF out of Pendleton were both deployed for the drive and the liberation of Iraq. Okay, and then the MEB a little bit smaller. So when we go back, let's see, the Marine Expeditionary Force forward, you got a division, mines, and aircraft wing. Okay, and then MEB, okay, smaller, 14 to 17,000 Marines. So when we do a drawdown, or we in 2006, I believe, 2007, we had about 14,000 Marines, or we went up to about 14,000 Marines in Afghanistan, and that command element was MEB Afghanistan. So there was a 1-star general in charge of it, and the 1-star is usually on the staff of the 3-star general. Okay? And so the MEB can either be a 2-star or 1-star, and it's usually the chief of staff for that 3-star general in MEB. So if we're organized by law to have 3 divisions, so we have 3 MEFs. All these forces are not additional forces; they're just forces that are broken off from the larger MEF. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because we only have 100. I think we're allowed by law to have 172 or 178,000 Marines. So we have anywhere from, let's say, 50. So we got about 3 MEF, 2 MEF, actually 3 MEF in Okinawa is a little bit smaller than the 1 MEF and 2 MEF. But you're seeing our operational forces are probably about really 2/3 of our end strength. So as we go down. So major campaigns, we got large forces, crisis response or limited engaged contingency operations. So Afghanistan was a limited contingency operation where we did not have a 3-star general in charge of our Marine force in Afghanistan. And then military engagement, security, cooperation, and deterrence, we usually have the MUs or the special purpose MAGTF. So as you can see here, the special purpose MAGTF is usually just a battalion. So within that division, there's 3 regiments. So you see here, MEB have infantry regiment reinforced, and then within the regiment, there's 3 battalions. So you go down here, and infantry battalion reinforced. So what's a future operating environment going to look like? Future operating environment will continue to be characterized by national and international challenges that will stretch the employment capacity of the U.S. military and demand a force and readiness and capabilities for a global response. Okay? Remember this, it's a global response. We drew down, we stopped sending, we brought everybody back from Iraq, we're bringing everybody back from Afghanistan. So is the plan just to sit within the continental United States? Okay? Well, the Marine Corps is a truly expeditionary force, and the Commandant wants to get back to its expeditionary roots. Then we have to be ready to and capable of a global presence and to meet the global challenges. So let's just look over here what the challenges are. Okay, pretty detailed graphic. Humanitarian assistance, disaster relief. Okay, that occurs almost every year. There's something where the U.S. military is involved with either provide, disaster relief in Haiti. There's an earthquake in Pakistan we flew supplies into. There was the tsunami in Thailand, or a tsunami over here, and then you had the earthquake and nuclear incident that occurred in Japan. You had Marines from Okinawa that were aboard ship that came up that flew onshore to provide relief there. So there's always going to be that humanitarian assistance, disaster relief. Okay, and really the Navy and the Marine Corps team do it because of its forward presence. We do it better than any other country in the world. I always found it interesting that the countries that really don't have a relationship with the United States have a disaster or need assistance, and then all of a sudden, they're ready and willing to have a relationship with the United States because of the value that we can bring in for disaster relief. Okay. I'm not sure many people know this, but that 50% of the world's oil travels through 7 major sea checkpoints. Okay, here in the Red Sea, here in the Suez Canal, flows through up here, flows through this area over here in Indonesia. Okay, if we're not forward, if we don't have that forward presence, and most of the areas, the Gulf of Oman here, most of these areas up here, there are countries that are near those choke points that have anti-access or area denial weaponry that is a threat to commercial traffic and military traffic. So it's always, there's an importance in having a global presence, a forward presence with the Navy and Marine Corps to limit the proliferation of anti-access area denial weaponry in those areas. Okay, let's see, instability and under-governed spaces in North Africa and the Middle East, transnational crime, political identity, power structural chaos and strife in Africa, water, food scarcity in Africa and the Middle East, piracy off of Somalia. You see the Navy SEALs. There's a couple Marine Expeditionary Units that have conducted anti-piracy operations in the off of Yemen and Somalia. And then there's a heightened risk of insurgency in the Middle East that we're all aware of. Okay? And then Al-Qaeda inspired extremist violence is spreading in Mali, Sudan, Somalia, Nigeria, Yemen, Philippines, and Thailand. Okay. So with all this going on, and with the drawdown at Iraq and Afghanistan, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, capstone comment, is to come up with what he believes is the Expeditionary Force 21. Okay, and this will codify the essence of the expeditionary ethos. So while we were, let's see, in a stability operations, and we were in a environment on Iraq and Afghanistan of nation building and teaching a country and how to provide its own security and providing security for it. As that government grew, we're now getting back to our expeditionary roots instead of going over to Iraq or Afghanistan, falling in place where previous force had been, doing a handover, and then doing the same mission and doing Groundhog Day over and over again. We'll get back into that, where our roots are in the Marine Corps and Navy is to be fast, austere, and lethal. Expeditionary Force 21 also envisions a force that will achieve success in those missions where action delayed is action denied. You'll see when I talk about Special Purpose MAGTF, we have a Special Purpose MAGTF now that's stood up about 12 months ago in Spain. As in the aftermath of Benghazi, we wanted to have a quick reaction force large enough that the geographical combatant commander, the CENTCOM general, can make a phone call, and within 24 hours you can have a force large enough to support any actions that are required. And as we know, the present U.S. military presence, either offshore or located close to areas of conflict, is usually a deterrent. Okay? There's nothing, I'm sure there's nothing more frightening than 3 warships or a carrier battle group forward deployed off the coast of the country, and the threat of military action that causes governments or organizations to think twice before they act. Okay. It also recognizes, Expeditionary Force 21 also recognizes the need for living, operating, sustaining, and maintaining people and equipment in Spartan conditions. I can tell you what, one of the biggest problems we had in Iraq and Afghanistan was weight control. Because we had, it wasn't necessarily austere. You know, we had these nice cans that we lived in with air conditioning. We had Kellogg Brown and Root, God bless them. They do a heck of a job feeding people. Okay, and there was never, we never had a problem running out of ice cream or sweets. And when you're deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan. So we need to get back, one of the Commandant's goals was to get back to operating in austere environments, eating MREs again, and then going to battle with what you have on your back. Okay. It also promotes the economic employment of forces of almost any size and configuration that with capabilities appropriately match the mission. You know, when you look at the size of the MEF, how long do you think it takes 80,000 Marines to get in the area of operation? Quite a long time. So if you forward deploy a special purpose MAGTF, you're looking at a battalion of Marines with associated aviation and naval equipment to execute forcible entry, either by helicopter or by naval vessel. It also acknowledges the value of respecting people and respecting and protecting people caught in the middle of disaster or conflict, and stepping lively in all areas of support to minimize the potential adverse cultural and political impact. One of the things that came out of our conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan is that the Marine Corps spends a lot more time teaching its officers about culture of local areas. As a commissioned officer now, when you get commissioned, you go to basic school, you have to choose a region of interest that you will study throughout your Marine Corps career, so that we have more people that have a resident knowledge of those areas that we are likely to go to, because there are culturally, aside from Australia and Japan and some other areas, you go in there and they're not really familiar with the culture or Western culture. So you go into the Middle East, you got to be sensitive to their culture, because a lot of times you go there to help them out and you end up offending them, unbeknownst to just from the way you act. And that's why we're training more females to be involved with ground combat units, because they can provide an effective role in dealing with the female genders in areas of the world where the males don't want males to search females. So we have our female engagement teams that do searches or security in areas where there's a lot of females. So Expeditionary Force 21 will also sustain and increase our presence around the globe. It'll establish MEBs with specific geographic orientation. We always had the MEB concept, but there was never any, hey, this MEB will be responsible for this region. It was just one of those things where, hey, if we're not going to send the 3-star general to command the force, let's call it a MEB. So now it specifically dictates to each MEF commander where his MEBs will be oriented, and then if you know what the geographical orientation is, then you can study, well, And instead of studying the entire world, you can just study the cultures of the areas that you're headed to. And it's also going to be allow us to rapidly deploy trained, tailored command and control packages, fully joint capable. A lot of the command and control systems, the legacy systems, were not compatible throughout the joint forces. Now, the Marine Corps realizes, unless it's a Marine Expeditionary Unit, it's going to when they're involved with a conflict, it's never going to be the Marine Corps that just goes in. Well, what we call it is a joint force, and instead of it being what we call the Purple Force now. So the Air Force has capabilities that the Navy and Marine Corps doesn't. That are intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets, satellite assets that are very helpful to Marines in achieving a mission. So if you don't have C2 packages that are communicable between or that are effective against cross service, then that doesn't work either. And the other thing is we oftentimes go to combat as a coalition. Okay, and a lot of our systems are secret. Okay, we have a chat system now as a communication system. So if you are now in a coalition and that chat is SIPR or secret, how does the Japanese officer get to see that? How does your Georgian military officer? How does your Egyptian officer get to see the communication? So we've developed a transverse chat that is or a secret chat system that is open to the anyone that the DoD or NSA decides is a coalition partner that can be on that system. So, okay. And then the other thing is, because we were forward deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, we kind of stopped our relationship with the Navy. I wouldn't say deteriorated, but it was kind of put on the back burner. So Expeditionary Force 21 will look at integrating naval forces and the Marine Corps a little bit better to fight and win throughout the littorals. All right, hold on. Let's see. All right, there's 4 lines of effort. First line of effort is refining our organization. So we got 2 MEVs. Our 2 MEVs able to exercise command and control of the Joint Task Force, remain focused on sustained warfighting operations. So those MEVs will still maintain our focus on the conventional large-scale fight, but Expeditionary Force 21 will also focus on our MEVs, capable of a range of operations from security cooperation to disaster relief to forcible entry. So there'll be MEVs that will be engaged in theater security cooperation, and that is kind of a buzzword. You Google it, you'll find out about the Army, the Navy, the DoD. The Defense Department conducts theater security cooperation. You may read about, let's see, we go Marine Forces or Special Forces go down and do military training of armed forces of for countries in Africa. Let's see, our training exercises in Ukraine and the Republic of Georgia, not necessarily going there to do combat, but going there to do training or theater security cooperation. We've done it for a long time in Western Pacific. We go to Thailand to do exercises, not just to have liberty in Bangkok and Pattaya Beach, but that's always a plus though. But to train with the Thailand Air Force and Thai Marines as part of the theater security cooperation engagement. Many of you have probably been to Subic Bay, and we have a base in the Philippines, not only for forward presence, but to when you have a presence and you engage with other countries, that relationship builds militarily, also has an effect on diplomacy and the other pillars let's see, diplomacy, information, military, and economics. The pillars of power projection. Let's see, and then last, deployed MUs into key regions for security cooperation and crisis response, additional employ special purpose or crisis response MAGTFs. And that's, this is what, as an aftermath of Benghazi, we're going to put more presence in Europe, in Spain. Spain has agreed to host a special purpose MAGTF. And, okay, so let's see, in Western Europe, there's not a lot of conflict, okay, but we stood up AFRICOM, Geographical Combatant Commander, and his headquarters is in Stuttgart, Germany. He's responsible for Africa. Eventually, I think they'll find a home for that headquarters somewhere in Africa, but right now there's nobody that has either thought it was a good idea to put a headquarters in Africa or to find a place. I don't know, maybe it's the general's wife that doesn't want to go to Africa and she'd rather be in Stuttgart, Germany. I don't know. But I think Stuttgart, Germany would be a much better place for, let's say, weekend liberty than Chad or Nigeria and Nairobi. I'm just saying, you know. All right. And this is what it looks like, okay? So, Camp Batallion over here, we got one MEF and we have first MEF. Okay, we got second MEF over here in Lejeune. Okay, so you know we have all this out here. You know we've always had third MEF in PACOM over in Okinawa, and we put the F-18s and now let's see, MV-22s up here in Iwakuni on mainland Japan. We got carrier battle group up in Yokosuka. So there's always been a presence in the Philippines. I mean, I have a friend of mine from college that's a CBRE president in Makati City in Manila. And every time there's every year there's a typhoon in the Philippines that floods out Manila. Hey, and who's the first ones they call it? They call it MEB, okay? And the next thing you know, within 72 hours, you got C-130s flying Marines, and then you got the amphibious ready group ready to pick up from Sasebo, sails down to Okinawa, picks up 2,500 Marines that are ready to get their humanitarian service medal, right? And go down and pass out MREs and water and run forklifts in the Philippines. But then also ready to go northward into Japan if there's an earthquake there. But you can see here, so now we'll put the first MEB and special purpose MAGTF, what they call special purpose MAGTF crisis response in Spain. That'll be responsible for this area, Africa, and Western Europe, basically the MU and second MEF, and our special purpose MAGTF to look for a home for that, and they'll be responsible for that. All right, and the other line of effort will adjust our force posture. So the Commandant's guidance is that 1/3 of our operating forces will be forward deployed and flexibly distribute them over a wider area to deter adversaries and effectively respond to emergencies and crises. So before Iraq and Afghanistan, there was a unit deployment program. There was Marines from either North Carolina or Camp Batallion that would go over and they'd spend a 6-month tour over in Okinawa. So Expeditionary Force 21 is going to continue that, but now we'll have a battalion that will go over and do special purpose MAGTF crisis response, and we have a Marine unit out of 7th Marines in camp at 29 Palms. It's over there now, and then there's another one that's getting ready to go to replace them. So there'll be a rotation over there. There'll be let's see, the MV-22, the Osprey helicopter with its 250 knot capability. The Osprey replaced the CH-46 Frog. I think that thing flew at about 125 knots, 150 knots. Now we have the MV-22 that can fly at a higher altitude, faster, and over a longer range, can aerial refuel. And so now we have a response capability with a air assault capability that's much greater, and so now we have to evolve our force. And that actually, the MB-22 allows us to be distributed over a wider area. Okay, and then, like I said, we're orienting forces over specific regions. Now we're conducting sustained alert contingency forces. Another result of Benghazi happening this year. And then, let's see, well, increased naval integration. While we don't, what the Navy and Marine Corps and the DoD realizes, we do not have enough amphibious shipping to execute an Iwo Jima or Incheon type landing. We're looking for other ways to. Of course, nobody thinks that we're going to ever execute an amphibious assault like those again. But we're looking to develop other options and sea basing options to meet those challenges. And we'll do that by forward compositing and forming up our reinforcing forces at or near scenes of crisis. So now we'll put them forward deployed instead of just getting them on ship here in the continental United States. And then we'll also remain dedicated to our holistic concepts, our operation for launching assaults from combination amphibious ships and reinforced sea-based platforms. And then we're also strengthening our partnership with the Navy, integrating, now they've integrated staffs. There have been carrier air groups now commanded by a Marine colonel. Occasionally that occurs now as they cross an integration of the staffs. So this is what the Commandant and his staff believe Expeditionary Force 21 will do. We'll operate from and seize advanced bases. We'll have composite crisis response forces like special purpose MAGTFTC and MEPs, and then we'll integrate headquarters of float. So you can have carrier strike group, pre-positioned shipping. We always have had military supplies pre-positioned on ships, either in the Indian Ocean out of what's that on the Indian Ocean? Diego Garcia, that's right. So there's three military pre-positioning ships in Diego Garcia. There's also 3 ships that come out of the Mediterranean, but we don't have enough airlift capability, and you're not going to have enough. You're not going to be a quick response force if you have to take all of your equipment over there with you. So what we usually do is we'll fly in, seize an advanced base, and then this military pre-positioning equipment will meet up and marry up with us. So just like in Iraq, we flew Marines over there in commercial aircraft, and they met up. Even in Kuwait, we fly over, we land in Kuwait, and then our stuff comes in on black bottom boats or pre-positioning ships, and we marry up with it. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We got a couple more? Geez, when I put this together, I thought it was only going to take about 15 minutes. But anyway, we're also going to, the Marine Corps looks at maneuver warfare. That's what we study, maneuver warfare. And the Marine Corps looks at all this ocean as maneuver space. Okay? Thanks to our brothers and sisters in the Navy. So we're going to enhance that littoral maneuver. We're going to envision assault mobility portfolio that permits us to execute future amphibious operations at times and places of our choosing. So whereas in World War II in Korea, not necessarily Korea, but in World War II, the enemy dictated where we would land next. We landed on opposed beaches. The ability to choose our point of landing is something that we're going to exercise and take advantage of. And then to complement our operational reach, our vertical connectors, so helicopters and tilt rotors. Tilt rotors like the MV-22, while they don't carry as many troops and they're sensitive to dirt and dust, they do a heck of a job getting Marines to the fight quickly and over large areas. So we're also going to look at exploring new surface connectors, okay? Amphibious fighting vehicles, self-propelled. The amphibious assault vehicle of the future was scrapped because it didn't meet testing requirements, spent a lot of money on that, so they're going to have to find a new amphibious assault vehicle. Part of the conversion for helicopters, the Cobra and Hueys got new transmissions so that they could fly larger loads and fly faster speeds and distances. You know, the MV-22 can fly 250 knots, so what's its escort aircraft going to be? The CH-46 and the 53 fly at about 150 knots. They flew at the same speed as the Cobra attack helicopter escorts. So now the Osprey outflies its escorts. So normally their escorts are going to be something fast moving with a pointy nose on it. And the, let's see. So this is kind of what they're envisioning. They're envisioning it, well, this is the classic LHA, LHD. Because of the size of the Osprey, the new amphibious shipping LHD, I believe it's 9 and 10. They're going to take out the well deck down here. So there's where are you going to offload? How are you going to offload your tanks and your other equipment? The reason they're taking out the well deck is because the MV-22 requires a larger hangar bay because of the size of it. So you know, look at shipping that will have connectors here where you'll be able to take LCU type vehicles and offload the equipment that way instead of, and these will be more applicable to maneuver in the littorals instead of having to seize a port to offload equipment. So, but anyway, that's in a nutshell kind of where we're headed, you know. And you know, I would be remiss if I didn't put some sexy pictures of aircraft up there for somebody. Okay, you can see here we got our Cobras and I got some Cobras and Hueys out there at the airfield with 29 Palms. I got some pointy nose F-18s dropping bombs, and then here's the V-22. Quite a specimen. My commanding officer in my last combat tour was an F-18 pilot. He said he rode in the back of the Osprey. It has a very little porthole window at the top, and he said it elevated so quickly and flew around so quickly that an F-18's pilot said his gyro even got spun in his head. So, and the other thing we've learned with the Osprey is that if it's going to fly out of an LZ really quickly, then everybody needs to hold on to their gear. Because as a UAV mission commander, a couple times in Afghanistan, I had the guys looking for Pelican cases or sniper rifle that might have fell out of the, or a computer that fell out of the back of an Osprey, and we've lost 2 crew chiefs out the back of an Osprey on takeoff too. So anyway, very capable aircraft with your tactics, techniques, and procedures. And then, you know, we still have the Harrier bouncing around, but that would eventually be eliminated, and we'll have the Joint Strike Fighter, right? Maybe, right?